So here we are, I've lifted out all of the elements that I would need to make the light coloured sheep, and I've used the grid that's provided in my kit to help me just double check I've got everything that I need. So the black pipe cleaner, the core wool, the undercoat with the top fleece, and the in white and the dark brown head, ears, legs, it's marked up as. What we'll also need is the template for the H frame. So everything else just push to one side so you don't get confused, and just these items here. Also, of course, your felting needles. So if you haven't done so already, give them a little wipe with your alcohol wipe. Have your sponge ready with them, so your red tip and your gold tip, and we're going to begin. The first thing that we're going to need to do is get your scissors, cut your pipe cleaner, the 30cm pipe cleaner, in half. So just bend. If it's not bent already, bend it. Doesn't have to be super accurate. Bend, cut. There we go. So you've got two 15cm lengths. And you want to create this frame, you want to find the centre. So I'm finding the centre like this. Whoops. Find the centre. And there we go. Can you see how I did that? Hopefully you can. Twist one around the other in the centre. And what I'm doing is twisting one side and then twisting the other, twisting one side and twisting the other. Essentially, the twisty bit will be the centre of the body, and then these bits here, I'll just do it roughly so you can see a bit of understanding what you're going to do. Can you see that? So you're going to have two legs front, two legs back, and a twisty section in the middle. So you want to keep twisting pretty tight until you've formed this kind of H letter, and where you think it roughly matches the template, just straighten it off a little bit, hold it up against it, and I would first of all kind of check it's the middle bit really. So my middle bit is too short, so I want a couple more turns on either end. And there we go. Perhaps, let's see, how is this looking? Yeah, I mean it's a little bit over, but that's fine. And my legs are ending pretty much where the template ends. There we go, that will do. So you don't need this template anymore, put that to one side. The next step is to bend over in kind of U shapes your legs like that. So that's one end. And you know, you would use this technique for dogs or any four-legged animal. Pipe cleaner is a great structure, a great quick, easy way of producing an animal that's got four legs. There you go. Hopefully yours looks something like this. These pipe cleaners, and you can just rub your finger along the end where the foot would be, quite scratchy. So I like to just as little as I possibly can, like literally just use your nail just to bend the end back on itself once and twice, and it'll just, or even 3 times, it will just form a little ball and it'll just soften it off. Just whatever you do on one, do the same on all 4. I'm doing a couple because I'm used to doing it. I only take a slight tiny amount. If you're finding it's too fiddly for you and you're taking a larger amount, maybe just stick with 1. Once you have done that, I would say stand it up, lay it down on a flat surface, the table that you're working on, and you can mess with it, you can bend it, you can play with it, and just make sure that it's not drastically off, that it will actually stand up. Obviously we're going to be working on this and it's going to be manipulated as we're working, but for now, as long as it stands up at this point, you're likely to end up with a sheep that stands up in the end, so it's a good sign. So that was step number 1 and 2 on my written summary sheet, if you're using that alongside the video. Next we'll do step number 3, and for this we'll need the square of core felting in inner wool, eco wool. First thing you need to do is, I find it better to tease it apart rather than using it in this sheet format. It's really easy to do, just pull, bit like pulling hair from a cat brush, a dog brush, out of the sink, any of those things. Again, it doesn't have to be super fine, super perfect. You don't need all the bits to be the same. In fact, they won't be all the same because it's got different density across this wool. and it's already really nice to work with. You might find that there's bits of twig in there or bits of leaf or debris, natural debris, which is quite nice. So the next step is we want to cover this little frame here, and it looks at the minute like there's way too much wool to cover this frame, but you'll be surprised, it will compact down. You'll use the majority of this, if not all of it. So take a little piece at a time. And for this as a technique, I like to actually roll it together. Roll it up, compact it back down a little before I apply it to my frame. And for this, I also like to use my pot of water, because you'll notice yourself when you try and roll it in your hands, it's not that easy. It wants to slip and slide around. But if you literally just dip your fingers, drip off the excess, rub a little in your palm. So you just, and then gently, you don't need to push on this, just gently roll around between, say, the palm of your hands and the tips of your fingers. And you'll be able to make either balls or sausages. It's quite nice. And just do one at a time. The first place I would attach this is around the legs. So if you think about a sheep and the legs, they are surrounded by wool on all sides. So you're kind of going to make donuts. Donuts around each leg, a bit around the belly, and then build upwards. Okay, I'll show you exactly what I mean. And you will need your red needle to do this too. So here, I am just, there's one donut, and it kind of wants to attach, wants to spring away. So as I go, very, very gently, I'm just tacking down, and I go tack, 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 1, 2, 3, and then I go back over. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If, as a test, if you just touch your finger and you don't want it to hurt, that's how gently I want you to tack down. So you're almost stroking the surface, tacking down. It's really responsive, this wool, and it will start to mesh together. Take your time, there's no rush. And that's one. That was it, literally about 10 seconds of stabbing. You will come back to this and you will be doing more on this, but for now, that's enough around one leg. Do the same for the other legs. And you might want to pause the video at this point, continue this in the background, and then rejoin the video when you've done this.
To make me feel better, so let's stay together. To make me feel better, so let's stay together. To make me feel better, so let's stay together. To make me feel better, so let's stay together. To make me feel better, so let's stay together. To make me feel better, so let's stay together. To make me feel better, so let's stay together. To make me feel better, so let's stay together. To make me feel better.
My last ball of wool here is much bigger than any of the little sections I've put onto the body frame so far. I'm going to just lay the whole of that over the top. I don't want to put any more wool on the underside, because the more wool that we add to the underside, the shorter the legs will go, and we don't want them too short. Sometimes it's nice to have little short legs, sometimes it's nice that they're a bit longer, but I would just build it upwards and just continue with your red felting needle to just gently, very gently, just build it up slowly, prod the surface of the wool. Use your sponge here to help you if you need to. If you find that it's too fiddly and you're stabbing your fingers continuously, stab more gently, there's no need to go all the way through, or use your sponge. Okay, don't worry if it still feels quite spongy and a little bit delicate, like it might fall to pieces. Don't worry, it's going to get an undercoat of wool all over the top of this inner structure, which will really it'll give it a bit of size because it might be looking a little bit small at the minute, and it will also bind the whole thing together. We're now going to move on to the next section.